Welcome to Gold Derby, everyone. We're just a couple days out from the 2024 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and here with me to discuss our final SAG predictions are my fellow editors, Ray Richmond, Marcus James Dixon, and Daniel Montgomery. We've also recruited our special expert, Tariq Khan, who was the top expert predicting SAG film winners for the past 3 years in a row. So now, Tariq, you're famous for this extensive polling of SAG members, and you relentlessly hound them for answers. And it's
Yes.
led you on a path to victory several times. And let me just remind everyone before you start screaming at him for some of his picks. He was the one shouting from the rooftops last year that Jamie Lee Curtis was going to win SAG after she lost everything. Tariq, let's go straight for Best Actress. You're predicting Margot Robbie for Barbie, not even nominated at the Oscars.
Right.
Take it away.
Okay, sure. First of all, I've been surveying SAG voters. In the past month or so, I've spoken to probably close to 500. So I know there's 160,000 in the guild, so that's a very, very small sampling, but it is something, I think. So it's more than I've ever done before. And in my polling, one thing I need to throw out is that a lot of SAG voters have not seen Poor Things yet. The average SAG voter does not see movies as quickly as all of us do, and Poor Things was a late year release, and it's not even streaming on regular services yet. So a lot of them have not seen Poor Things. But in my polling for Best Actress, among voters who've seen everything, Emma Stone does hold a lead because it is the most dramatic, the flashiest, the most theatrical performance. You can't deny that. So there's a lot of support for her. But right behind her is Margot Robbie in Barbie. And when I keep hearing those Margot Robbie votes, I ask, why Margot Robbie? And they tell me that they think she was robbed for the Oscar for an Oscar nomination, and they thought she was wonderful in the film, and it's just so unjust. They want to make it up to her. And one key thing we have to keep in mind here is that most SAG voters, will not have seen everything before they vote. And Barbie is the film here in the Best Actress category that every SAG voter has seen. And most SAG voters agree that Margot was wonderful in it. And this is her fourth individual nomination in about 7 years. She hasn't won a solo SAG award as of yet, or as part of an ensemble either. She's been on a hot streak at SAG. This is a chance to make up for the Oscar snub, and also with Emma Stone, and there is support for her. But Poor Things, it did not get a Best Cast nomination at SAG. Really artsy films like Poor Things don't do as well with SAG voters. They're more mainstream. And also, a lot of SAG voters know that Emma Stone, she won SAG, she won the Oscar for La La Land, and they want to spread the wealth. So I can't guarantee this, but I just want to caution you that Margot Robbie is a serious threat. In the past, we've seen people like Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place win at SAG after she was snubbed at the Oscars. Idris Elba for Beasts of No Nation, he won at SAG after he was snubbed at the Oscars. When Argo won Best Cast of 2012 at SAG, beating out heavyweights like Les Miserables and Lincoln and Silver Linings Playbook, a big part of that at SAG was due to the Ben Affleck Oscar directing snub. So Margot Robbie at Barbie, I just want to warn you that that is a very real possibility. I wouldn't, suggest that you are willing to jump off that cliff, but if it happens, you'll know why immediately.
Yeah, I was thinking about Emma Stone, and even though she's been sort of steamrolling the award season so far, I was thinking about the visibility of the film and the fact that every other four of these nominees is streaming right now. So that does work against Emma, although I'm still gonna keep her on top. I just can't part ways with her yet. Ray,
I
where
can't either. I can't either. I got to stick with Emma until she loses one. But Margot Robbie, Tariq is plugged in. He knows a lot of stuff, so I may have to move Margot up from fourth to second. And I understand the idea of SAG trying to make up for what the Oscars did to her. Although her name is Robbie, so if she's robbed, sorry. You know, I would have no problem with her winning, but I just don't see anyone beating Emma Stone this award season. It's too showy and too powerful a performance. Remember when all of our discussion was, well, Lily Gladstone's got it. Now I'm not even sure she's fully in the discussion, which means of course she'll win.
Yeah, that would really shake up the race. Daniel, who are you going with?
Lily Gladstone.
Yes, see, I love that. I love that we're going.
Boy, I lobbed that one over the plate, didn't I?
Yes. All right, Daniel, take us away.
I'm just sticking with her because I feel like last year we saw this mirage of Cate Blanchett winning the Golden Globe with Michelle Yeoh, and then they won separate categories, and then Cate Blanchett took Critics' Choice took BAFTA, and then SAG changed everything. It reoriented the race back towards Michelle Yeoh. She was the sentimental favorite. She hadn't won before. It would be a historic win. Same with Lily Gladstone. Emma Stone has won before. People know that because it was very recent. So I feel like Lily Gladstone here will be where she rights the ship. And if she can't right the ship, then I think it's over for her. Like, even if she loses to Margot Robbie, I think Gladstone needs a win to be able to win at the Oscars.
I agree with that.
I had Lily until this morning, and then I made some updates just before we started filming, and I did put Emma Stone at #1 because of the BAFTA. I thought Sandra Hüller would win that BAFTA award. I don't know who else ended up picking her at the end, but when Sandra lost that to Emma of all people, I'm like, okay, Emma is way stronger than I was giving her credit for. So I switched to Emma for today. And I'm curious, Tariq, Lily Gladstone, in your polling of these SAG voters, what did they say about her chances?
It's funny because when we started out a few weeks back, I thought Gladstone would win SAG because SAG voters would not be able to resist the chance to make history, honor a Native American actress. It would just be, so monumental. But as I'm speaking to them, there is some support for her, but Killers is not generating much excitement, and the performance, it's so subdued and so quiet. It's just not flashy enough. So based on my polling, I don't think Gladstone has a chance, unfortunately. And one quick note about Margot Robbie. Barbie is up for Best Cast at SAG, and Poor Things is not. Barbie has 4 SAG nominations. It's going to lose Best Cast, lose Supporting Actor, lose Stunts. It's likely to win somewhere. I think they want to give it something. And so Best Actress for Margot Robbie is a logical place because she is Barbie. She's everything. So just keep that in mind.
She is the Best Actress nominee that's in a Best Film Ensemble nominee.
It's so interesting, Denton. You remember when we saw Killers of the Flower Moon and we were walking out and saying, Lily Gladstone, that performance is so muted. We both had kind of the same idea. And then, she moves from supporting, where it looked like she was a no-brainer, sure thing, and to lead, and then she takes the lead and lead. But I feel like to some degree I agree with Tariq that ship has kind of sailed. But now watch Carey Mulligan and completely screw everybody up.
I worry about Annette Bening still. She is universally beloved. She's out there campaigning like crazy, so many events. And the Naiad is on Netflix, and we've seen through the years that if you're on a Netflix movie or a TV show as well at SAG, you kind of have an upper hand. Of course, Maestro is also on Netflix.
I would only give Annette Bening an advantage in the fact that there is a generational discrepancy. I mean, the other 4 are sort of the same era. So she does have that. I mean, she's the real veteran. But I think that's a real uphill battle for Annette Bening and Naiad. Let's get film supporting actor out of the way. Because I think that's the one where everyone has Robert Downey Jr. I mean, can anything stop this guy?
Doesn't seem like it to me. That seems like it's as sure a thing as that's as sure as Christopher Nolan for director.
Yeah. Daniel,
who do we think is second? I might put Sterling K. Brown in second. He's in a American Fiction, which is up for ensemble, and he won for This Is Us a couple of times. I don't remember exactly how many times, but they absolutely love this guy.
Yeah, he's won for This Is Us twice as an individual and a couple times for the ensemble. He won for the Black Panther ensemble, so he's very popular with SAG. So if he's going to have any momentum, it's going to be with this group. I have Ryan Gosling in second and Sterling in third, actually. Daniel, how about you?
I have Gosling in second. I think similar to what Tariq was saying about Barbie being the most nominated film, tied as the most nominated film, and then wanting to give it something. I think it's got a chance there, but I think everyone, even in the Ryan Gosling camp, knows that Robert Downey Jr. is winning this too.
I have De Niro in second, actually, myself. Just because it's his best performance in maybe 20 years, and I feel like that could get some support. And I figure maybe some people will see Robert and accidentally put De Niro instead of Downey. Just like a few people may see Stone and put Gladstone instead accidentally. But,
Based on my polling, Gosling is a very, very distant second. I've not heard a single vote for De Niro from what I've heard so far. So Gosling is that distant second. No chance of winning, but that's where he falls. Would be my take.
Film supporting actress Devine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers has been just cleaning up at the award season. I thought if she was going to lose anything, it would be BAFTA, and she did win there, which really cemented her as the front runner in my mind. Tariq, I know you're sticking with Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple. Can you explain this and talk about your polling?
Okay, sure. Here's the analysis. Is that the Golden Globes went for Randolph because she won all the critics awards. They just copied the critics, right? And then the Critics' Choice, they just copied the Golden Globes, and the BAFTA voters just copied the Globes and Critics' Choice because they see Randolph as the Oscar frontrunner, which she is now. Let's face it, she is. But the average SAG voter does not know who won BAFTA or who won Critics' Choice and does not care. Some know who won the Globes because that's a popular, TV show, but there's no correlation between BAFTA and Critics' Choice and SAG. And in my SAG polling of voters who've seen both The Color Purple and The Holdovers, I can assure you that Brooks wins handily. There is so much enthusiasm for her performance. They are raving about her. I hear some votes for Randolph. They think it was a very moving performance. But Brooks just crushes it. And recall that The Color Purple is a Best Cast nominee, and The Holdovers is not. And historically, you always have a better chance for an individual prize at SAG if your film is up for Best Cast. That helped both Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis last year. That helped Troy Kotzer in Coda beat up Cody Smith-McPhee. That helped Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, win Best Actress at SAG, beating out both Carey Mulligan in Promising Young Woman and Frances McDormand in Nomadland. So that Best SAG nominee for The Color Purple helps Danielle Brooks. And also Brooks, voters know her. I'm surprised somebody mentioned her from Orange is the New Black, which she won for Best Cast 3 years in a row as part of that terrific show. So she's actually better known than Devine Joy Randolph. So based on my polling, unless it's way off, there's just no way that Brooks does not win. And I'm not saying she's going to win the Oscar, but SAG, we're going to see, a different choice here. And, what happens, remember I told you, just one caution. I have heard that the streaming service, the Warner Brothers streaming service on the SAG site, there've been some tech issues. So if by chance that's been a challenge, some voters not being able to see The Color Purple, that's the only thing which could derail Brooks. Otherwise, she's winning SAG, lose the Oscar, but SAG will be her one big win this season.
Yeah, it's important to remember that before people come lashing out at like picking unconventional choices to win, SAG and Oscars don't typically go 4 for 4. Last year was an exception, not the rule. This year people are sort of thinking, oh, like it's like the last awards show, like everyone just floods the Oscar site and updates their pick. And now we think BAFTA's going 4 for 4. And rarely does SAG or BAFTA go 4 for 4. Usually there's some sort of happy medium. So, we could see surprises at SAG, even if you don't expect them to happen at the Oscars. Marcus, you were really on the Danielle Brooks train for a long time. Where do you stand on that now?
My heart is with Danielle, but then she lost the Globe, and then she lost the Critics' Choice, and then she lost the BAFTA. And I just can't do it, Tariq. I can't do it anymore. My poor heart is getting stepped on by all of these voters. I'm going with Divine. And keep in mind, Divine is also a guest star on Only Murders in the Building. So there are some fans of that show. I mean, that show's nominated for ensemble, although she is not part of the ensemble because she's not in enough episodes. But she does have some TV fans as well, but not as many as Danielle has. But I mean, I will stand up and cheer if Danielle Brooks wins the SAG award, and I will say Tariq was right and I was wrong. I will be so happy to get this wrong, but I just can't go against someone who has won every single prize, not just the televised ones, but all of those earlier critics ones as well.
And Daniel, I'm curious, who are you going with? And also, what about Emily Blunt? Tariq mentioned earlier she won for A Quiet Place when she wasn't even nominated at the Oscars. This is a group that loves some Emily Blunt. So what do you think of her odds, and who are you going with?
I'm going with Divine to win. I think BAFTA made me think that there's just like, it's almost like voters are on autopilot with this category. It feels like at this point. That like if Divine could win BAFTA, I don't see her losing SAG. And I actually have, because of Emily Blunt's track record, I have her in second, not Danielle Brooks, which, you know, maybe I'm wrong. But you know, I think, you know, Emily Blunt being in an ensemble nominee, having the track record she has, you know, we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once last year win, what, 4 for 4. So like, you know, it's possible it could happen for Oppenheimer. Although I'm not predicting it for Best Actor. Yeah, so it could go 3 for 4. That wouldn't be too unusual. So I have Blunt in second, but I have Divine in first. Like she's one of those. I'm gonna keep her till she loses.
And Ray, wrap us up with this category.
You know, after I saw The Color Purple, I thought, no way does Danielle Brooks lose this. And then she started losing. So so it was hard to continue supporting her. You know, I'm a huge Holdovers fan. I keep, you know, I went with my son and my wife to see it after I've seen it for 3 times now. And I was really, the last time I was really studying to see, why is Divine sweeping awards season? Because it's such a low-key performance, not necessarily the showy kind of thing. Nothing like Emma Stone in Poor Things, where you think this is an award season sweeper. And it really is a beautifully rendered performance. I mean, the more you watch it, the more you fall in love with it. I doubt that SAG voters have seen this movie 3 times to come to that conclusion, but it's hard to vote against her and to vote for The Color Purple until Divine loses.
Yeah. Now the one that I find the most perplexing is Best Film Actor. I still think this is a 3-way race. I know Bradley Cooper's lost everything and everyone keeps reminding us. But this is somewhere, if they go with him, it's going to be here. Paul Giamatti has a huge fan base voting for him. And then we've got Cillian Murphy, who just won the BAFTA. He hasn't lost anything that he's needed. So I really think this one's up in the air. Right now, I have Cillian just because I feel like he has the momentum. I really have been going back and forth between him and Paul Giamatti. Tariq, I know you still have Bradley Cooper. You haven't gotten away from that.
That's right. That's right. And I've been doing my polling, and unfortunately, I cannot guarantee this one. I was hoping that Cooper would win by a landslide, the way that Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, won by a landslide 5 years ago. And recall that year, I was telling everybody he's not going to lose SAG. He was winning it by miles, and most people didn't believe me, but he won SAG. This year, it is close because I hear a lot of votes for Paul Giamatti. He's a beloved, respected actor, and people just love him. So he's a 3-time individual SAG winner, and so he has a chance. I hear a lot of votes for Cillian Murphy because Oppenheimer is so popular, and that is such a beautiful, very nuanced performance, but people agree that he's amazing. But I think it will be Cooper. I hear a lot of votes for Bradley Cooper. And a lot of my best SAG sources tell me, when I ask them, not necessarily who will you vote for, but who will win SAG, and they almost all say Bradley Cooper. And basically, it's pretty obvious. This is the classic SAG Awards bait. He is playing a real person, and it's Leonard Bernstein, an icon. And this role, it's seen as the most challenging. He had to learn and master the speech and the movements, and he had to do that intense conducting scene. In London, 1973, that 6-minute scene was interrupted. SAG screenings, voters are bursting out into applause after that scene ends. I mean, he has by far the flashiest performance, and that is what SAG typically goes for. And one SAG voter said to me, it's kind of like judging bull riding. Who's on the toughest bull to ride? And you have Paul Giamatti, who's playing a prep school teacher, and you have Cillian Murphy, who's playing a scientist. Bradley Cooper is playing Leonard Bernstein. Actors will see that as being the toughest role to play. And of course, Cooper, this is his 4th solo nod. He's not won. He lost for Silver Linings Playbook. He lost for A Star Is Born. He lost for Licorice Pizza. A lot of SAG voters feel like he is due for his own award. And so I don't think he's going to win the Oscar now, but it's going to be kind of like Denzel Washington winning Fences. After he was losing all season long, he came back, he won SAG, he lost the Oscar, but I think Cooper will win at SAG for Maestro.
Yeah, it's important to keep reminding people SAG is its own
Exactly.
It's its own thing. Ray, where are you at in this race?
I'm down with Paul Giamatti. There was a time where I thought Bradley Cooper was absolutely going to win. But, and I know that we don't really pay attention to backlashes, but I sensed, a backlash against Maestro several weeks back. And, a lot of people that I respect who just didn't like the film. And if you don't like the film, you're not going to vote for Bradley Cooper. And these were a lot of people are SAG voters that had sort of turned against Maestro. It just felt like it didn't really tell the story accurately about Leonard Bernstein. But if we're looking at Cillian Murphy, even if we're looking at it as a three-way race, I feel like there's almost a little bit of not an Oppenheimer backlash among the acting races, but I feel like everybody's just already giving it so many awards at the Oscars. It's already pretty much a given that it's going to sweep a lot of things, including Best Picture. And I don't think Cillian is going to be carried along. I feel like this is going to be its own category, and I think Paul Giamatti is hugely loved in the Guild, and I feel like that's going to carry him in this film, and it also is probably his best performance, and that's saying something for a guy of his stature. I'm going with Paul.
So what if we have these three guys with significant votes? Could Jeffrey Wright sneak in? I mean, how big is this vote split with Cillian, Paul, and Bradley potentially? Because for me, American Fiction is peaking at exactly the right time. It did well at SAG, and then it really sort of overperformed at the Oscars. And then it just won this BAFTA for screenplay. So I find American Fiction to be sort of one of the more intriguing films that, for me, peaked at the right time more than anything else. I mean, I don't have him winning. I'm running scenarios through my head. Daniel, where are you sitting with Best Film Actor right now?
I've got Paul Giamatti, and just thinking about even in a close race, I go back to Too Big to Fail, where he won for like sitting at a table for 5 minutes. He won a SAG award for that. So here he's giving it's the warmest performance, I would say, of the three. Although Bradley does have sympathetic moments, but I feel like Holdovers is the warmest, most huggable movie. It's a showier role than Cillian Murphy has. Cillian is very subdued for a lead acting winner. Although I did make the case for Lily Gladstone doing that for Best Actress. But here I think Paul Giamatti is just a little bit too loved, for Cillian to win this one necessarily. Although in a sweep, Cillian could just rush the stage with everybody else. But I feel like Oppenheimer is seen more as Christopher Nolan's film than it's seen as necessarily Cillian Murphy's.
And Marcus?
I don't like this category at all. This has caused me so much stress over the past month or two. And if I go with Cillian Murphy, that means I'm matching BAFTA for 4 for 4 because I have Devine, I have Robert, and I have Emma. And as we know, last year they matched 0 for 4. None of the BAFTA winners won at SAG. None of the BAFTA winners won at Oscars. So I'm not going to go 4 for 4. So I'm sorry, Cillian, I loved you in Oppenheimer, but I'm not predicting you. For me, it's between Paul Giamatti and Bradley Cooper. And what Tariq just said about Bradley is maybe convincing me to do something crazy and switch to Bradley. But I'm going to think about this over the next couple of days. I still have Paul at number 1, basically because of what Daniel said, because of the Too Big to Fail win. That came out of nowhere. Like, they absolutely love this guy. And so he's my pick for now, but I don't know. I'll see what happens between now and Saturday.
And I just want to keep reminding people about SAG. All those actors that Tariq mentioned earlier that didn't win the Oscars. I mean, for their films, Denzel Washington, Viola Davis, like, it's happened time and time again where people win at SAG, and so don't just pick your Oscar winners here. I mean, this is a different crew. So if you want to win, you got to take some chances.
Right. Hey, Dan, one quick note I want to point out. In my conversations with SAG voters, a lot of them say as much as they love Paul Giamatti and they love his performance in The Holdovers, it was not a real stretch for him. They've seen Paul Giamatti do that kind of role before. So that's why I think he may not win. And by the way, with Too Big to Fail, that wasn't a TV category with a lot of name checking. Most SAG voters had not seen the film, so he was an easy name check there. Here, the voters, they know the performances, they know the films. Most of them have seen these three top contenders, Maestro and Oppenheimer and The Holdovers. So Paul Giamatti does not get that easy name check in this category that he did in that TV race with Too Big to Fail. So just keep that in mind. This is a very different race.
And I'm still gonna say, like, I still think Jeffrey Wright is a very outside, like he's more than a 0% chance for me. Like there's something about a vote split and where he fits into this race that I find intriguing. So I'm not gonna be blown away if he's kind of the shock of the night.
Jeffrey's performance, though, it wasn't a difficult performance like Bradley's was. I mean, what Jeffrey did in Westworld was way more challenging than what he did in American
Yeah,
Fiction.
that's true. American Fiction is right in his wheelhouse for sure.
But there he is. So anything can
Yeah.
happen. Best film stunt ensemble, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is what I have winning, just because this film has been recognized in other categories. Of course, they don't have this at BAFTA and the Oscars. It's sort of up for discussion. Maybe they'll add that at some points. And then we've got John Wick Chapter 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Barbie, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Again, I'm going with Mission Impossible. I think this could go a few different ways. Daniel, what are your thoughts here?
I've got Mission Impossible. Also, I think it's the most conspicuous stunt film, other than maybe John Wick. And it's got a couple of Oscar nominations, so we've seen the industry support it in other ways. So this is a weird category. We've seen superhero movies win it too. Guardians of the Galaxy could pull it out, but I'm not confident. But I've got Mission Impossible.
And Barbie's the big movie here, but Ray, what are the special effects in Barbie that I'm missing?
Yeah, I'm not so. When I think of Barbie, I just think of a lot of colors and great production design, but not necessarily stunts. I think, for one thing, I give SAG a lot of credit for even having a stunt category.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And I think the greatest stunt, I'm picking Mission Impossible too, but in some ways, the greatest stunt is that Tom Cruise has kept this franchise at the top for 25, 30 years. That's quite a stunt. I don't necessarily get why Barbie is nominated for stunts, but is never nominated for hair and makeup. There are certain things that are destined to remain a mystery. In terms of, I've seen all the movies, the Indiana Jones and John Wick and Guardians. And I feel like Mission Impossible, at least it has identifiable stunts that I can recall that I was impressed with. That's enough for me to vote for it.
Tark?
Okay, my polling has Mission Impossible winning easily. No contest. And a lot of voters say to me, they say, the category is stunts and the movie title is Mission Impossible. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It's funny, I think two previous Mission Impossibles lost. The 2015 installment lost to Mad Max Fury Road, so tougher competition. And the 2018 Fallout, I believe, that lost to Black Panther, which was the SAG Best Cast winner. So it had tough competition. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, it can beat out John Wick Chapter 4. That's pretty lightweight competition. So I think Mission Impossible is probably, is going to just steal this one pretty easily.
Marcus, any argument?
Yeah, I'm going with Mission Impossible, and I just want to say that last scene on the train is one of the most intense movie scenes I've seen in years. I applauded in the theater. It was so damn good. And if Mission Impossible were to win anything this award season, it's going to be the stunt prize at SAG.
Tom Cruise does so much of his own stunts. Is he one of these stuntmen? Like, does he get a prize?
Good question.
And I just want to add that if the Oscars keep trying to figure out how to get more popular movies in the Oscars, they're adding a best casting category, which is great. Add best stunt coordination. Like you're gonna get your popular box office movies in there, deservedly so a lot of times, you know, and really acknowledge these crucial creative people in the industry. So you know, follow the SAG Awards lead, add stunts to your lineup.
Yeah, the Emmys have stunt categories. Like, why not the Oscars?
Why doesn't SAG have a casting category?
Good question.
Hmm.
Or a
Or they should
voiceover.
give
They need a voice
ensemble
animated
cast.
voiceover category too.
They should
Yeah.
give an ensemble cast trophy to the casting director at the very least, like have them on the list.
Totally.
Well, okay, so final category, the big one, best film ensemble, and we've got Oppenheimer, Barbie, American Fiction, The Color Purple, Killers of the Flower Moon. Generally, a lot of times this goes to the biggest cast. That belongs to Killers of the Flower Moon. Am I?
Barbie's a
Color,
pretty big cast too.
Color Purple is the biggest.
Oh, Color Purple is the biggest. Okay. Um, I'm not going with that. I'm going with Oppenheimer. It feels, I know this doesn't always go to the best picture front runner, but it sort of feels best picture at SAG, and the cast is stacked. They have 3 individual nominations. So I don't think it's too far-fetched to assume this is going to take best film ensemble. Marcus, do you agree?
Um, I okay, when I think of Oppenheimer, I think of Killian having scenes with Emily, or Killian having scenes with Matt Damon, or Killian having scenes with Robert Downey Jr. Like, I don't think of an ensemble, you know, in the classic terminology. The Color Purple is an ensemble. I'm not predicting it, but I could easily see that winning. It also has the diversity factor that the SAG Awards often go for in this specific category. I think Barbie could be the one to watch out for. Remember the last 30 minutes of that movie when everyone kind of comes together in Barbie world, including America Ferrera, and it was a really, really great moment. And you see all of the cast members together. That's, to me, that's what an ensemble is, where everyone's working together. And nothing against Oppenheimer. I think it's, you know, one of the best movies of the year, but I don't think of ensemble when I think of that movie. So I'm going with Barbie.
That's a really good point. I think you may have just convinced me to switch to Barbie, actually. Daniel, where are you at?
I had Barbie this morning and I switched to Oppenheimer. I just feel like it's winning everything. It reminds me a little bit of, you know, the Argo Steamroller, you know, also Trial of Chicago 7 winning this, you know, your Men in Suits movies. And those films won. I am wary of Barbie though, because we have seen in the history of this category that it's not just, you know, best actors in a movie. It's you know, cast interaction does matter. That's why you can have a film with very few cast members like Little Miss Sunshine win this, or I think Sideways won this also. When they have very few cast members, but there's a lot of group interaction or inter-character interaction between them. You know, so Barbie has tons of that, and it has a large cast. And all of these films, or at least most of them, I feel like, you know, they shoot themselves in the foot with these individual title cards that determine eligibility for casts, because the Oppenheimer cast is a lot bigger than the cast that will be recognized for this award, and the Killers of the Flower Moon cast is a lot bigger than the cast that will be recognized for this award. And the Barbie cast as well has you know, people left off the list. So I really think, you know, these, you know, however they're making up the contracts, just get as many individual title cards as you need, just so you have that SAG play going into award season.
And I wanted to add one more thing about why I was predicting Barbie, and then I'll shut up. A lot of the voters, yes, come from the film world, but many of them, if not many more, come from the TV world. And look at some of these TV stars in the Barbie cast: Michael Cera, Will Ferrell, America Ferrera, Kate McKinnon,
yeah,
Rhea Perlman, Issa Rae. I mean, this is a TV extravaganza in this category. So that's just one more thing to point out.
I also want to mention with Barbie is how much of SAG-AFTRA voters, I mean, how many women are going to rally behind this film,
Mhm.
It's
especially with
true.
all the things about Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. How many female voters are going to really rally behind this? The only other female-centered film is The Color Purple. The others focus predominantly on male characters. So that could be another factor. Ray, what are you
Yeah,
thinking?
that's exactly what I was actually going to point that out. I already had Barbie before we started this slugfest, and uh, I feel like women or female SAG voters are going to want to honor Barbie in some way because of the perception that it got screwed at the Oscars, even though that isn't necessarily totally true. I feel like they're going to want to give it something, and I don't think they're going to give it to Margot Robbie. Sorry, Tariq. But I think that also when you think of this film, you just think it just looked like these people were having more fun than they've ever had in their life. And Kate and America, and not just Margot and Ryan, everybody together, they just had an amazing interaction and chemistry, and the sense of fun. I feel like that's all going to work in their favor in this category.
And Tarek, take us home.
Okay, well, may I first ask you? I got an email from this young man in Finland named Jonathan last year. He's been emailing me, telling me he's so impressed by my SAG polling and he finds it so fascinating. And he always says, "Why don't more people pay attention to you? Because you got things right." And I just want to ask all of you, just curious, and no hard feelings, but when I tell you about my polling results and the hundreds of SAG voters I've spoken to, just curious. I mean, do you not think that? Do you think I'm making it up, or do you think that it's? I'm just curious. Why?
I
Well,
think
Curtis last year. I mean, I said I was hearing a lot of votes for her. She could win. She won. So I'm just curious. Nobody thinks that there's any credibility to my polling. Just curious.
you've convinced me that Bradley Cooper is winning. So
Oh no, no,
if he,
I think you have credibility with your polling, absolutely. I
Okay.
just feel like I don't want to necessarily agree with you because it makes for much better slugfest if I
Oh,
don't.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, you admitted in your polling, even in your polling, that Emma Stone still had a slight edge over Margot, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
didn't you say that?
Poor Things, yes, but a lot of voters had not seen Poor Things. So that's why final voting, I'm not sure that enough of them will have seen Poor Things. That could help Margot Robbie. So yeah. Anyway, but for best cast with my SAG polling, Oppenheimer is ahead of Barbie by about a 2-1 margin.
Okay.
So pretty safe. The Color Purple is a distant third. The other two Killers, Flower Moon, and American Fiction not really registering. So yeah, I think Oppenheimer's safe, unless the Barbie voters don't want to admit they're voting for Barbie. I think Oppenheimer is ahead and probably has this.
Okay. All right. Well, any final thoughts?
it's
Oh,
on
hey,
Netflix this year.
Hey, Den, one quick thing, if I may. I'm going on all these limbs, and I could be wrong. Who knows? But I always tell people, and I tell Tom O'Neill this: if everyone at Gold Derby, all the experts, all the editors are picking the same thing, then what's the point? People go and they look and they say, well, why have so many experts, so many editors, and they're all picking the same thing? So I hope that people appreciate that some of us try to look at the long shots and make things interesting. And I mean, if we're all just going to be like sheep, there's
Absolutely,
no.
oh, of course.
And don't be
There's
such
no
a
question.
And don't be such a jerk in the comments. I mean, people are going out on limbs, give people a break. This is fun.
Right.
And I think it's fun to go out on limbs, especially for these ones. I really I'm dying to get 100% at the Oscars. So if I'm safe and anything, it's going to be the Oscars, but SAG Awards, come on, have some fun, go your own way. And this is all fun and games.
We're not
Everyone just
looking
chill out.
at what is the best choice for a cure for cancer.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this is fun. The SAG Awards are give me the date, Saturday. So
February 24th.
24th.
And they're on Netflix.
Yep.
So hopefully that streaming live works out well for them. And we'll be watching and ready to go. I think some of us will be there. I'll be on the red carpet, so hopefully I'll be able to get back and watch in time. But everyone get to Gold Derby, make your predictions for both the film categories and the TV categories. We're going to have a separate slugfest for television, and that'll come out within the next 24 hours. All right. See you guys.